For September 10th, 2024 is hereby called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Barrera.
Here.
Alderwoman Garza.
Here.
Alderman Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman Donnell.
Here.
Alderman Franco.
Here.
Alderman Seville.
Here.
Alderman Tolliver.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Bug.
Here.
Alderwoman Bade. Alderman Lash.
Present.
Alderman Warman.
Here.
Mayor Urban is present.
Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Sergeant Arms?
Second.
I'm sorry, let me turn my microphone on. I'll say it one more time. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Sergeant Arms? I believe we got a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Muhammad.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Tonight, leading our Pledge of Allegiance is esteemed educators. We go back to school, and next week is the Mayor's State of Education Address. We have an esteemed educator tonight who will be appointed to the Rural Education Commission, 25-year veteran of public education here, West Aurora Schools, former fifth grade teacher, assistant principal, principal director, assistant superintendent, and this year he begins his tenure as the new superintendent of School District 129, and tonight will be appointed to the Rural Education Commission. Leading the pledge tonight is Dr. Michael Smith of School District 129.
Let's give it up for the Black Hawks as they walk up. Take the microphone.
Please join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may remain standing for the invocation. Tomorrow, as we commemorate the 23rd anniversary of September 11th, on this solemn occasion, we'll gather at the Aurora Police Department, our invocation in honor of that tonight, and also a month that we're also commemorating that we'll talk about in presentations. But leading our invocation tonight is the Reverend Theresa Dubois Chidozie.
Let's bow our heads. Oh, Father God, it's in the name of Jesus that we approach you in front of this distinguished council, asking for your Holy Spirit to continue with them. As each older person and our honorable mayor gather together, Lord God, we plead with you to keep any hindrances away from them. Guard them, Lord God. Continue to give them wisdom. Continue to lead them in the priorities that you've set before them, and bless them so that other cities in the entire state, the entire country, will be able to look at Aurora as a model. We love you for putting in their offices capable staff. We pray that they will work with excellence, and that they too will work in a way that will make every plan of this council successful. So as we place this meeting in your care, we ask that you will continue to strengthen them, continue to direct them, continue to bless them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, let's go on to the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs presentation. Mr. Muhammad.
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council. As we enter into the month of September, there are a number of commemorations and celebrations, including September 11th tomorrow. Hispanic Heritage Month begins September 15th. But we'll be remiss if we did not recognize the tremendous success of Fiestas Patrias this past weekend. The work of the city team, the work of the Aurora Civic Center Authority wouldn't be possible without that team to put on an amazing two-day show like that. If we can give a round of applause to that entire team for a fantastic Fiestas Patrias. Great way to kick off the month, even before the month begins. We're excited then to see the full report of scholarships as we move forward. September is also National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. I believe you received flowers from our young friend Adam Pauly. And we'll be recognizing these months throughout this month here at Council. It's also National Preparedness Month and National Deaf Awareness Month. And you know we have a very stalwart leader who just gave our invocation here in Aurora, who's really helped us to move the needle on deaf awareness. We're going to ask the mayor to join us down front for the proclamation for Deaf Awareness Month. And we're going to bring up the leader of Deaf Welcome Ministries, Deaf Welcome Studios. Really has helped us in our inclusivity here at City Hall, but then all throughout the community. She and her husband, Dr. John Chidozi, Pastor John Chidozi, also host a deaf ministry on Sundays at 2 p.m. at Main Baptist Church, an all-deaf service, and it's in American Sign Language. If we can welcome the mayor and Dr. John Chidozi and Reverend Theresa Dorba Chidozi to the microphone, please.
It is my honor to read this proclamation for National Deaf Awareness Month, September 2024. Whereas Deaf Awareness Month is an important occasion to recognize the contributions and achievements of individuals who are deaf or hard hearing. And whereas the deaf and hard hearing community have a rich history and has made significant contributions to society in various fields, including arts, education, science, and technology. And whereas raising awareness and promoting understanding of deaf culture and issues related to hearing loss can foster inclusivity and equal opportunities for all individuals, regardless of their hearing abilities. And whereas it is crucial to celebrate and honor the diverse experience of individuals within the deaf community, including their unique language, traditions, and perspective. And whereas by promoting Deaf Awareness Month, we aim to educate and engage our community in meaningful conversation about hearing loss, accessibility, and importance of inclusion. Whereas in Aurora, deaf awareness causes are led by the City of Aurora's Disability Service Division and such stalwart organizations as Deaf Welcome Ministries and Deaf Welcome Studios. Now therefore I, Mayor Richard C. Irvin, do hereby proclaim this month of September as Deaf Awareness Month in the City of Aurora, to be recognized and celebrated by all. Let's give them a round of applause.
And as the Chidozis take a photo, we're excited that next Saturday, the 21st, the city will be hosting its inaugural Deaf and Hard of Hearing Gala here in downtown Aurora, led by our Senior Services and Disability Services Manager, Katrina Boatwright, who couldn't be here tonight. But we're going to turn it over to Reverend Theresa to share a little bit more about the gala and just the importance of welcoming the deaf community here in Aurora.
Thank you so much. This is the first ever Hard of Hearing and Deaf Gala in the City of Aurora. The first ever. There are so many deaf educators, deaf professionals, deaf employees of the city, deaf employees of the state, thousands that live here hidden because you don't see their hearing aids because it's behind hair like mine. But they are giving of themselves. They've raised families. They have students that are in our schools. I even interpreted at East Aurora High School for deaf students there, Aurora University. They're all over. But a place for them to come and meet the mayor and meet city officials and meet businesses that want to be inclusive, rolling out the red carpet. When the city came to our office and said this was their plan, this is what they wanted to do, I had a Jesus moment. I don't mind saying that. I was so excited. I said, are you kidding? So they're rolling out the red carpet. Mayor Irvin is rolling out the red carpet for people who cannot hear, people who think they're not welcome, people who think that no one respects them. And they are coming out en masse. Space is limited, but they've been going to Eventbrite so excited, and family members, hearing family members crying because their parents are going to be recognized. So it may seem like a small thing, but it's a big thing. And when you are able to just use one sign, this is I love you, the only universal sign for our multicultural deaf community. They're deaf from Mexico, deaf from Poland, deaf from Russia, all living here, deaf from Morocco, deaf from Mongolia, but they all know this sign. Deaf from Africa. Yes, sir. My husband's from Africa. We don't want to forget that they need to know that you want their business. And when you make deaf welcome, it really does make sense. Sense and sense. So thank you so much. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great night.
Absolutely.
And stay tuned for more.
Big round of applause for Reverend Dubois, Pastor Dozy. And more information will be coming out on the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Gala next Saturday, the 21st. We look forward to it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, let's go on to the next section of the agenda, mayoral appointments. Madam Clerk, read the first item under mayoral appointments.
240579, a resolution authorizing the reappointment of Andrea Rios McMillan to the Civilian Review Board.
So moved.
Second.
So a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Are there any questions or discussions regarding this resolution? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrero,
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza,
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos,
Yes.
Alderman Donnell,
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver,
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bug,
Yes.
Alderman Lash,
Yes.
Alderman Warman,
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. I see Andrea here in the room with us. Will you stand up and take a bow? Let's recognize her. Give her a round of applause. Thank you for your service. And if you just hold on just a second, we're going to come down in front and take a quick picture with you. Madam Clerk, read the next item.
240618, a resolution approving the appointment of Michael Smith to the Aurora Education Commission.
So moved.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Any questions or discussions on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrero,
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza,
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos,
Yes.
Alderman Donnell,
Yes.
Alderman Franco,
Yes.
Alderman Seville,
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver,
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Bug,
Yes.
Alderman Lash,
Yes.
Alderman Warman,
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Resolution is approved. Go Blackhawks. Can you beam down the middle? Hey, let's stand up. Dr. Smith, take a bow. Thank you for your service to the Education Commission. If you can both meet me down in the well so we can take a picture. Another round of applause. You know what? All right. You can bring Dr. Talley up, the head of the Education Commission, take a picture with our new person joining the team.
Go Warriors.
Okay, three times.
Now, I don't want to leave Dr. Talley out. I want to be able to express my love for his district as well. So go Warriors and go Mustangs. Exactly right. Where is that Mustang? All right. That concludes our mayoral appointments. Thank you all for serving our community. Madam Clerk, do we have before we go on to this point, I know there are certain folks here that are here just for the presentations and receiving our folks onto the various boards and commissions. If you have to leave, this will be the perfect opportunity. I'll give you a few minutes to file out. I'd love for you to stay and participate in the full meeting, but the regular course of business is about to begin. So I'll give everybody a few minutes to file out. All right, so thank you for those remaining, for participating in our city council meeting this evening. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk, will you read the rules for public comment, please?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the city council for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person, other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order, may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the city council shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Madam Clerk, call the first speaker wishing to offer public comment.
Adrian Talley.
Dr. Talley, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Thank you very much. Mayor, Aldermen, Alderwomen, my name is Adrian Talley, and I'm the very proud superintendent of Indian Prairie School District 204. I'm here this evening to inform you about a no-tax increase referendum that our Board of Education has approved for the November ballot. We are Illinois' 4th largest school district of roughly 26,000 students. Over the past year, we completed a master facility plan, which included significant community engagement, where we heard directly from our school communities of their priorities. These plans highlight the need to address aging facilities, many of which are over 30 years old, and the pressing need for safety and security upgrades. With over 3/4 of our district revenues coming from the local property taxes, Indian Prairie receives significantly less per student than our neighboring comparable districts and less than the state average. For example, Indian Prairie is forced to spend $907 less per student than Aurora West and $1,600 less per student than Aurora East. With over 25,000 students, this equates to Indian Prairie having over $22 million less annually than Aurora West and over $42 million less annually than Aurora East. Simply put, we do not believe we can fund the necessary building improvements under current resources without negatively impacting educational programming. If the referendum is successful, all district facilities will see safety and security needs addressed without increasing property taxes. The $420 million bond would replace an existing levy, maintaining the current tax rate. If a referendum does not pass, taxpayers receive approximately a 7% decrease in their annual property tax bill. This amounts to approximately $93 for every $100,000 of the house fair market value. Without the bond funding, critical infrastructure needs would have to be addressed with operating funds, which would lead to increases in class sizes and likely reductions in programming. We believe our schools are a main reason this community is one of the most desirable communities in the country to live, work, and raise a family. Reinvestment in our facilities will protect this status and protect taxpayer property values. Thank you for your time. Please visit our website for more details at ipsd.org/safer-stronger-204. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Tanika.
Tanika, present. Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Keith Larson.
Mr. Larson, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Good evening. My name is Keith Larson, and I live in the 3rd Ward. I've been coming to many city council meetings for the past few months, mainly focusing on asking the city council to pass a resolution calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza amid this U.S.-sponsored genocide. Unfortunately, this has not happened, but regardless, I've continued showing up to city council meetings when I can, and I've observed a few things. Many meetings start with recognition from people in our community, like today, which I appreciate, especially considering a lot of the other business done during city council meetings is not really the most exciting business. But even if it's not always exciting, it's still an important job that everyone on this council performs to keep our city functioning. However, I am sometimes surprised by the passion that council members have over their jobs. Items that I may glaze over on the agenda sometimes inspire discussion by council members that I had not considered, proving the value in a council of this size. But also, as I witnessed at the last city council meeting 2 weeks ago, Sometimes there is not passion for discussion, but rather passion for needlessly exercising power over others to no benefit of this city and its people. Last meeting, Alderman Lash proposed an amendment to an item and was denied an opportunity to speak further by the mayor, including when he requested to talk to legal counsel. The mayor also berated Alderman Masiacos, who initially seconded the motion to discuss the amendment and hear out the concerns of Alderman Lash. Then, at the end of the meeting, Alderman Franco made a statement in opposition to Alderman Lash's amendment with no pushback, and then Alderman Bug attempted to make a statement that the mayor should not have prevented Alderman Lash from talking to legal counsel, only for the mayor to cut off Alderman Bug and adjourn the meeting before he could finish speaking. To quote the mayor just before he adjourned the meeting, he said, "As the chair of this body, I am the one that determines how we proceed, period. I'm not a lawyer or intimately familiar with the Code of Ordinances, but I am a resident of the city and I am a registered voter." What I saw in the last meeting was not only disrespectful, but it also shows arrogance and a greater concern for power and control than for the well-being of this city. I wonder if the mayor, who is running for re-election in April of next year, was motivated by personal feelings over Alderman Lash, who is also running for mayor. My friends and I, who have been pushing for an official stance against the genocide in Gaza, have been routinely ignored by the mayor as if we don't exist when we have emailed him and personally asked to meet with him to discuss the matter. But when another elected official dares to do their job as they believe best represents their constituents, this is what gets the mayor's attention. Next April, everyone should consider if the candidate they vote for cares more about Aurora or about power. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Luis Hernandez.
Mr. Hernandez, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Luis Hernandez Garcia. I was here last week, and this is the second time I don't have time last week to express myself for what I come here today for the independence of the country. They come into the few days. Well, this is Mexico, I think it's Honduras, and I was doing this while you guys passed the law, or I don't know how they called it, about noise flags more than 12 inches, okay? Horns over like 12 o'clock a.m., then to almost 5 o'clock a.m., and the noises. I've been living in Galena 415, and it's still there, so it's coming sooner. And why I was kind of upset and bringing this again, I'm kind of nervous, and my breath is because by 16 years ago, working, selling ice cream on the streets, the noises of the truck, that was not even loud. Some residents call the police department. They come in and they arrest me. And they take me to the jail when my kid that was helping me at the time. I had to call the owner of the truck so they can take my kids. When on time they start taking me to the jail for making noise with the ice cream truck. When the noise that was not even loud, that the way it's loud is gonna be in a few days. So I'm asking you, what is the law? What happened? Well, I was in jail when I was working. I was not doing nothing wrong, just working. And what is coming out right now? A big noises, a traffic, a disturbance, a fightings, a lot of stuff. A lot of residents that live here, they need to go to sleep. They need to relax for the next days. And they had to hold it. I think so you guys passed one law 2007. There's supposed to be no more flags over 12 inches, no noises, no horns. And I asking, where is the police? Why they don't do anything? I know there's not a police enough to stop everybody. But I feel like kind of sad right now that I was arrested, again, I say that, for selling, to working, to provide food for my kids at the time. Big noises on the ice cream? No. It's very slow. And now it's coming, the big noise. I don't think so it's fair. I was feel like really bad. I bring it up after 16 years ago that I know that I can come in here to the city and express myself for what happened to me. Thank you very much.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Ken Rupp.
Mr. Rupp, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, my name is Ken Rupp. I want to thank you for your time today. I've been selling security systems for 36 years. I've been an Aurora homeowner in the First Ward for 24 years. And I have my own company called Aqua Video and Security. The business is a little over 5 years old. In 2020, we put together a proposal for preventive maintenance in the city of Aurora. Our bid was a little over $55,000, and I just wanted to speak for a couple minutes about Scientel Solutions. Scientel Solutions was a successful bidder. Their bid was somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000. Some other proposals have come to my attention, and frankly, when these came through, I wasn't surprised because it seems like Scientel Solutions has gotten a lot of the work in the past couple of years. But you know, I'm just here to tell you that it seems like these proposals should be bid out. So the proposals that I saw look like they're about 20 to 30% high. Both of them look like they're in the $200,000 range, and between them, you're probably looking at several thousands of dollars. So the city needs to be a good steward of the taxpayers' funds, and I suggest that you don't approve the proposals as they are, but they should be bid out. Appreciate your time. Thanks for your consideration.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Adam Pauley.
Mr. Paul, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Thank you. I'm here and I brought these for everybody. They should be on your desk for Suicide Prevention Month, which is the month of September. The color for that is purple. It is the 3rd leading cause of death in this country for younger Americans. And you ask anybody in our younger generation, they know somebody and have lost somebody from suicide, drugs, or alcohol, and they are the leading causes of death too. And it's such a waste. It is such a waste. There are resources available. The biggest one is 988. That is a 24/7 helpline that you can call at any time if you are in crisis. And I hope that you spread that out and make your constituents more aware of that too. It's such an incredible waste. You know, what is the value of a life? I don't think anybody can really answer that question, but I think that every human being is incredibly valuable. The number of unsuccessful attempts, that's how they're classified for the statistics, just in Illinois was over 50,000. That was for a 1-year period of time. Such a waste. Such a waste. We really need to do better with the balance in this city in regards to mental health and addiction. I'm trying to follow up on how the opioid money, how that's going to be spent. And I hope that we can really do a good job with this and that we can achieve the balance. It's not as shiny as an economic development project, but how many more souls must we sacrifice on that altar until we achieve that balance? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if anybody does. But I hope that we do, as a community, find a way to move forward in a balanced and compassionate manner. Thank you. I yield the balance of my time.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Ray Hall.
Mr. Hall, you have 2 minutes to speak beginning now.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, I'm here to speak on a couple of subjects. A young man covered a lot of what I wanted to speak about. I just want to begin by saying to Mayor Urban, I'm not quite sure where things have gone sideways between the two of us, but it seems like it's taken a personal turn and not on my behalf. And I'm sad to hear that because I did support you in 2017 when you became mayor. But however, every meeting I come to, someone stands up and has an invocation and we pray, and then the decorum that I see taking place after that is not what I would call pleasing in God's sight. After we say a prayer and then we start to see some behavior that just looks different in what I would say. And so the lack of decorum is bothersome. I spent 20 years of my 36 years with the city of Aurora representing the working class people of the city, the public works employees. 10 years. At the age of 22, I was elected as union president. And then after that, when I became a manager, I represented the supervisors of the city for the next 10 years. And so that's what I've been doing a lot of. That's why I got involved in public service. One of them wanting to be on the school board. One of the things that I saw at the school board was we had some bully training. It was called Oveus, I believe that was the correct name for it. And they talked about how when a bully starts in on someone, that the other students will either stand by, say nothing, or they will join in with them and pile in on them. And to talk about the incident 2 weeks ago, it was pretty sad to see that over a question, an amendment about an electric vehicle, not a fleet of vehicles, that it was made into such a big deal about one vehicle, and that was pretty sad to see that happened. And I'm just wondering the level of hypocrisy that I saw to see Alderman Franco and the 8th Ward Alderman both pile in, and the staff was here, and the chief of staff got up, and everybody's over this conversation about an electric vehicle. I would ask you, for those of you that were that upset, if it bothered you that much, I'm going to go back to 2021. It should have bothered you when Alderman Worman was elected to Alderman at large, when he didn't live in the city of Aurora, and at least 3 or 4 of you guys knew about it and supported him. And that should have bothered you. It should have bothered you that for a whole year, Alderman Yamas was sitting in that seat, and you knew that he didn't live in the ward any longer. And so we need to do better about this. And the reason there is a seat there is because I had the courage.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, do we have
to
any
say something.
additional speakers?
Thank you.
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's go on to the next portion of the agenda. Let's go on to the consent agenda next. We will hear both the consent agenda and the direct to council consent agenda in full. Will the clerk please read both agendas in full?
240493, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to adopt new unit prices for the billing of water meters and meter accessories. 240510, a resolution authorizing an agreement for administrative services with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois for HMO, PPO, and Value HSA Group Health, prescription benefits management, flexible spending, dental, vision, COBRA, and stop-loss plan administration for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. 240603, a resolution establishing COBRA insurance monthly rates effective January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. 240610, a resolution authorizing Blue Cross Blue Shield Blue of Illinois for group health care services and rates for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. 240612, an ordinance approving an amendment to the plan description for the Fox Valley East Planned Development District for property located at 4389 Fox Valley Center Drive. 240613, a resolution approving a revision to the final plan for the property located at 4389 Fox Valley Center Drive for a kennel with outdoor pens and runs. 240615, an ordinance authorizing a 100% principal forgiveness loan agreement, public water supply loan program, home rule entity for the lead service line replacement project. 240616, a resolution authorizing the execution of a second amendment to the memorandum of understanding between the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund and the City of Aurora, expanding the FEC expert partner scope of work, and to receive the $10,000 stipend upon full execution of the second amendment. 240621, a resolution to award a contract to Martin Construction in the bid amount of $1,081,649 for the 2024 Bridge Rehabilitation Project. 240639, a resolution to approve a rental agreement with East Aurora School District 131 for the City of Aurora's Youth Services Subdivision. 240642, a resolution authorizing the Community Services Department to accept the donation of a refrigerated vehicle. 240654, a resolution authorizing the renewal of benefit consulting services with Assured Partners, formerly Group Alternatives Incorporated, for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027. 240635, a resolution approving reduction number 1 for Lincoln Prairie Del Webb P1 Amenity Center at 3245 Del Webb Boulevard. 240636, a resolution approving reduction number 1 for Lincoln Crossing Eola Road improvements, SEC of Eola Road and Del Webb Boulevard. 240649, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 closed session meeting. 240658, a resolution accepting the improvements and waiving the maintenance security for Bardwell Community Subdivision, 301 Weston Avenue. 240663, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 City Council meeting. 240672, a resolution accepting the dedication of right-of-way for North Randall Road, located at 1310 North Randall Road. 240678, a resolution accepting the improvements and waiving the maintenance security for self-storage facility at 410 Hill Avenue. 240680, a resolution approving reduction number 1 for Lincoln Prairie Del Webb P1 mass grading, 3123 Del Webb Boulevard. 240682, a resolution approving reduction number 1 for Lincoln Prairie Del Webb P1 3123 Del Webb Boulevard. 240683, a resolution approving reduction number 1 for Lincoln Prairie Del Webb P2 SEC of Lincoln Prairie Boulevard and Del Webb Boulevard.
Second.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco to accept the consent agenda and direct to council consent agenda. There are a few housekeeping matters I'd like to go over. First, item 24-0612 and 24-0613 will be held until September 24th City Council meeting. And Alderman Warman will ask to recuse himself from the direct to council item 24-0658, so we'll need to go to unfinished as he will recuse himself and leave the council chambers while we entertain that particular item. Now, are there any questions? Are there any motions to remove any items from the consent agenda or direct to council consent agenda, or any questions or comments to be made? I know Alderman Bug does on an item concerning Del Webb.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Del Webb has 5 items on direct council tonight, direct council consent agenda. Normally, when there's the reduction request, as a ward alderman, I would go to the residents and speak with them and see if they have any concerns in that. Currently, the HOA has not been turned over to the residents yet. It's still with the property manager, so that was not able to be done. So I'm going to leave this on consent. We will take a closer look at this when they're asking for their full reduction, and that HOA has been turned over to the residents, and we'll talk to them in greater detail. But I'll leave this on consent with future questions in the future.
Is Mr. Schroeder, someone from Public Works, here at City Council? Mr. Schroeder, to that particular item that, although we're going to leave on consent, Alderman Bug's concern, how can we address that?
Yes, sir. This is Ken Schroeth, Public Works Director. All of these, as Alderman Bug stated, are reductions, meaning we're lowering the value of their security down to 20%. So we will still maintain 20% security on each of these developments until we're ready to come forward at full acceptance. So I think at that time is when you would reach out to the residents.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Alderman Smith.
Yeah, Mary, could you please repeat the items that we're...
So the items that will be held until September 24th City Council meeting will be item 24-0612 and 24-0613 at the request of the petitioner on those particular cases. Item 24-0658 will be put on unfinished, as Alderman Warman will be recusing himself from that item.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments or motions or moving the items from the consent agenda or direct to council consent agenda? There being none, clerk, can you call the roll on the items that will remain on the consent agenda and direct to council consent agenda? I'm sorry, Alderman Lash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. Do we need a motion and a second to remove 240658 from the consent agenda?
658.
That was the one that we wanted to remove so Alderman Werman could recuse himself.
Alderman, that's typically done by unanimous consent, so the mayor is asking that it be removed. So for that reason, you would need a motion to remove it.
You would or would not?
Would not.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so those items, as I stated before, Madam Clerk, you read the roll on the ones that remain on the consent agenda and the direct council consent agenda.
Alderman Barrero?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Denell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The consent agenda and the direct to council consent agenda are both approved, less the items that will be removed. All right, let's go on to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, you read the first item under unfinished business.
240588, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase access control devices from Scientel Solutions of Aurora for $217,013.50.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Any questions or discussions on that item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Alderman Smith.
Could we please have some conversation about the bidding process that was done when we first took on this particular item and the two, so we can have some conversation with the public so they understand that we have gone through the bidding process before we got here.
Mr. Anderson, I believe you spoke on this item last week. You want to enlighten us one more time?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeff Anderson, Deputy CIO. Yes, back in 2020, we went through a competitive bidding process where the city wanted to combine. I'll speak to it in two pieces. We have two contracts with Scientel. One was combine and provide support and maintenance for our existing networks. At that point in time, we had two physically different networks. We had a police department network, and we had the Everbales in the city network. And those of you who were here at that time can remember how it was very difficult to communicate with folks who are on different networks, email them back and forth, et cetera. That was a very difficult thing to do. What we did was work with, we put it out for bid, went through the marketplace competitive bidding process, came back, I believe we selected 3 finalists at that time, went through some final interviews, and selected Scientel based upon the expertise of and the ability for them to actually design, sit in us with and design and move us from a expensive Cisco-based network to a Fortinet-based network, which have been much more effective, much more cost-effective, and flexible for us. So that's the network side of the house. The other contract we have with Scientel, so you'll see a couple of them on here tonight, is for the closed-circuit TV cameras and door access controls throughout the city. And we had 4 different systems running through the city at the time. So when an incident would happen or when we'd see something, graffiti or whatever throughout, someone would actually physically, in some cases, have to go to that DVR at that location and get the video off of there before it got recorded over, for an example. So what we've done is put together a centralized Genetec solution where all of the video comes to one location throughout the city. It can be accessed by whoever needs the access, whoever's given the proper security access. So again, that design and setup was all put together and designed with the team through Scientel, which again, that was a competitively bid process again in 2020. We went through the marketplace process with that. Again, had 3 finalists, and we were looking for a very specific Genetec-based solution that provides not only video, but also card access. I spoke the last time about how we had 4 different card access systems, which meant folks had to use multiple cards for that at that point in time to get into different buildings. So we went through a competitive process. It's a multi-year contract to support and maintain and add to the devices, both from the network and from the CCTV standpoint for the city.
Thank you, sir. Is Jolene Coulter present or somebody from finance? Ms. Coulter, can you do us a favor and explain how the purchasing process works? And even though somebody might be the lowest bidder, they might not be the most responsible bidder in a process like this?
Jolene Coulter, Director of Purchasing. This was actually, Jeff Anderson mentioned it was a bid. This was actually an RFQ process. We did multiple layers of search. They went out looking for qualifications, and then we looked at what their qualifications were, what their proposals would be. We had interviews, demonstrations, and then we started to negotiate with the most responsive proposer, and that's where that would go. It's not necessarily based on price, it's based on their qualifications, their proposal, and what they're able to provide for us as services that we're requesting.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Any other questions or comments?
I just
on
have
this?
a follow-up question.
Alderman Burrow.
So this has been since 2020. So how long does this contract keep going? Is it evergreen, or do we extend it a certain number of years?
No, they all had either, both of them had either a 2-year or 3-year with, one was a 5-year total, maybe 3 years with 2 optional 1-year extensions. The other one was 3 years with 3 optional 1-year extensions. So they are, one of them will term in December of 2025, and I can't tell you which one that is at the moment. But we'll look at that. We'll either look at rebidding it, but if that's the case, we will be rebidding it or reproposing for somebody to provide us those services, and that's the key thing. It's not just the equipment, it's the services that they're providing. They're providing the maintenance. They're going out and doing the repairs and doing the reporting to us of what's out, what needs to be repaired, what needs to be replaced, and it's no longer fixable. So those are important parts. Yep.
Mr. Anderson.
Thank you for all that clarification. Jolene's always on the mark with that stuff, but just wanted to add for large events like we had just this past weekend, right? The service we asked for.
You mean the
Fiesta
Patras with 6,000 people parked full, sold out?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Scientel's 24/7 Network Operations Center, or NOC, they call it, is always available for us at that point, and they are monitoring the cameras and their uptime. They're not looking at the video, any of that. They're just making sure they're up and working, and if there are issues, we have processes in place where either it's somebody from IT or someone from the police department can call directly and get help and get those cameras back online as soon as possible. Because again, it's liability for the city. Someone to get hurt and injured. How did that happen? Kind of a thing. And that's where I'll step out of the liability side of it. But that's exactly what it's for.
Thank you, Alderman Bug.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. So yeah, on this particular one, and Ms. Coulter, thank you. This was a 3-year with a 3-year option that we're doing. And of course, it was the initial equipment, and then after the fact, when you buy additional equipment, everything has to be compatible with the original, or it doesn't work. But I appreciate the member from the audience, the resident, because when you have those longer term contracts, a vendor can come in and create fluff in their pricing because they know it has to be compatible and they're providing it. So it's always good to hear. I'm not an expert in equipment, so to get a different insight, and when we're up in 25 and 26 and looking at those things, those are things to consider at that time.
Absolutely. Just to add to that, and just the potential there around services, I may agree with you, Ruth, that we've got set prices on services in the contract, though, when we put this through. The equipment itself is generally purchased off of a cooperative somewhere that's been priced, right? There's otherwise we have to answer for that each time, right? Why it was more expensive than buying it somewhere else, and Ms. Coulter would keep us on track on that.
Mr. Mayor, I also
Alderman Smith.
remember during that process, the Scientel solution that we chose, they did not outsource their work. They kept everything in-house, whereas what we were using and what we were looking at in the bids did outsourcing, which made things more complicated. So there was a lot of thought put into this in 2020. So I hope that the residents that are listening to this now that have had questions understand that this happened this long ago, and this is just the fulfillment of this bid that we have done. We didn't just knock on Scientel's door and give them a job.
And if you think about the number of facilities the city owns or maintains, from train stations to the buildings we have, et cetera, this was not something we're going to consolidate in a 3-month project, right? It's going to be systematic, and you're going to see us going around like you have on the agenda tonight for animal control, and like what we've done at the water treatment facility to get that on a centralized system as well.
Thanks. Are there any other questions, comments? There being none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Barrera?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
No.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. Resolution is approved. Read the next item.
240593, a resolution requesting approval of an addendum to an existing network infrastructure managed services contract from Scientel Solutions.
So moved.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Garza, second by Alderman Smith. Any question or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrera?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
No.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. Resolution is approved. Please read the next item.
240594, a resolution requesting approval of an addendum to an existing preventative maintenance and support of citywide security CCTV cameras contract from Scientel Solutions in Aurora.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Question or discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrera?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
No.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Please read the next item under unfinished business.
240604, a resolution establishing health and dental insurance monthly rates of contributions for pre-Medicare retirees effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion carries. I'm sorry. We have a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Any question or discussion on this item?
I just had a comment.
Alderman Barrera.
Yes, so I asked for items 604 and 653 to be put on unfinished business. I was trying to get some additional information, and I was provided that information from Alicia Lewis in HR. So thank you for that information. It's a very complicated issue with respect to how we charge retirees for the health insurance costs. So it's something that I would like to look at, or when we have discussions during the budget process. But it is something I think is worth looking at. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrera?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes. 11
yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Madam Clerk, if we could skip to 24-0653 and take that along with it, since that also involves health insurance.
240653, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Humana to administer a Medicare Advantage plan for Medicare-eligible retirees for the period of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Any questions on this or comments? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrera?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Resolution is approved. Go back to 24-0625, Madam Clerk.
240625, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase CCTV devices from Scientel Solutions in Aurora for $189,305.25.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made by Alderman Garza, second by Alderman Smith. Any question or discussion on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrera?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
No.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
No.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Madam Clerk, read the last item under unfinished business.
And then we'll have one more.
That's right.
24
Dash 0645.
and then we'll have 5-3 and then 5-8.
Gotcha.
Okay. 24-0645. No, we won't. Okay, sorry, I was wrong. A resolution directing staff to proceed with Phase 1 of a 3-phase sustainability plan for the Aurora Civic Center Authority in an amount not to exceed $13.8 million.
Motion made by Alderman Smith.
Second.
Second by Alderman Franco. Before we get into a question discussion, does staff want to give a brief presentation based on everything we talked about last week?
Good evening, Alex Alexandru, Chief Management Officer, joined by Chris Minnick, our CFO and City Treasurer, also Tim Rader, the Executive Director of the Aurora Civic Center Authority. On the screen is, you have seen this, I believe, at Finance and at COW. It's the proposed 3-phase approach. Since last week, we had a well-attended open house sponsored by ACA, as well as significant participation by the city. There were a lot of great questions raised, some concerns raised as well. Nothing that we have not heard either from some of you or the public in the past, and those same concerns have been raised in this process by city staff as well. So I want to particularly point you to what is before us tonight and what has been pending, and relay that or allay that towards these concerns that have been raised. So tonight, as we have proposed throughout this process, tonight's action item is solely Phase 1. It is not Phase 2. It is not Phase 3. There's been a lot of information put out to the public. The city has tried to be very consistent with its messaging here at City Council, as well as what we tried to put out at the open house. Tonight's action item is only Phase 1. Phase 1 consists of 3 items, and 3 items only. None of those items have anything to do with the potential City of Light Center, which is contained in a future phase. So to be clear, and especially for the public, because we know, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of people watching these council meetings. We don't always get people coming to committee meetings. We have people who rely on their information from social media, from various sources. So we want to make sure tonight that you are all clear and the public is clear that the action item is Phase 1. So Phase 1 consists of a total of $13.8 million. That $13.8 million is consisting of 3 items. $10 million to purchase the valet parking garage. Let me just clarify. It is not 43 West Galena. That is a separate garage that's across from Wabanzi. That garage has always been owned by the city. So in the casino process of relocation that was approved, that garage has always remained city property. That's not changing. The difference is once the casino moves, they will vacate the office space. They will vacate their lease rights for using that garage. So then that garage will come back to the city. In their deal, they maintained that garage and operated that garage as well. The garage we're talking about is the valet garage directly across the street from the main entrance of the casino. Owned by ACA for as long as, I think, since the beginning. Their deal with, or their lease with the casino is for the spaces there. The casino operates it, and the casino maintains it. Not the city of Aurora. So there was some discussion out there that we answered folks. Why wasn't this valet garage part of the casino deal? It has nothing to do with the casino deal. Never did, never will. It's an asset of great significance that the staff worked very hard on with ACA to bring back to the city in phase one. Now, there's also been a lot of discussion and concern. Why is the city taking this? Why do we need it? We don't need it. Well, I'm here to tell you that after a lot of work that the staff has done with MOED, with finance, with ACA, we do need this deck. And the reason we need this deck is because we know what's coming. We're trying to stay ahead of when the casino vacates and fulfills their contractual obligation to tear down the casino and provide back a developable pad. That's including removing of the barges and bringing us back to the city per their obligation, a developable pad. We have said we are doing an international a design competition that we will bring back for council approval before anything happens to the casino site. So one of the most successful and significant incentives we can offer in that process is the fact in today's market how expensive it is to build parking, whether it's included in a building development or separate. The fact that we will have a garage at the ready of this caliber, this size, with the already connected underground that will be simply closed off in the demolition and preserved, we bring that to the table, to a deal. That is a game-changing, significant advantage that the city of Aurora will have when we go out to bid. We also have, and I've said this I think in one or two of the previous meetings, we have a terrific staff that runs motor vehicle parking services. We are well equipped to take over this garage and utilize it at the appropriate time, and I think Chris had said we're shooting for 60 days, hopefully after approval of phase one to close. We would then, in that 60 days, continue to evaluate how we would operate it, what we would charge, who we would offer it to. There was concern about it's been a valet, can it be self-park? All of those things have been looked at and will be continued to be evaluated, but none of them are deal breakers or should prevent us from moving forward. The garage is in good shape. We are working with ACA and the casino to confirm what they've done in the past year to it, but upon initial inspection, it's in good shape. But I will remind you that even if it needs some work, the cost of a replacement new garage, we thought, at one point I said 30 to 40,000 per space. It's more like 40 to 50,000 per space. So that translates to 22 million to 26 million to build a new garage. So if we have to spend $1 million to do some repair work, we're still well ahead of the game. But it was important, based on the $13.8 million ask, to bring back that asset of value that we need to control our own destiny in a critical area of the downtown. This council has previously approved numerous instances where we have either proactively purchased land or assets to control what happens in the immediate vicinity. Several examples we all, I think, know about. Secondly, we have 1.3 million to help finish off what they paid, which is, I believe, $3 million, towards the Stope Island Theater. Third, the $2.5 million to cover the Riverwalk Promenade. So between the hardscape improvements of a critical part of our downtown next to a heavily traveled Paramount Theater and the tremendously successful Stope Island Theater, which many of you, I know, have been to the shows, a lot of the public, it is the hottest ticket in town. It's off to a tremendous start. So the $2.5 million of the Riverwalk, just to be clear, is only the Riverwalk between Downer and Galena. Phase 2 gets into, as you can see, City of Light Center, other areas, and I know some of you had mentioned to me North Island Center and the One Aurora Plaza. Though neither of those are in phase 1. Those are future phases. So we are actually in agreement with a number of folks out there who have commented either at the open houses or on social media. Nobody should, maybe some people might be shocked at that statement, but I'll tell you what we are in agreement on. The fact that the proposed City of Light Center requires further study. It requires further due diligence. We are committed to that. We've said that from the beginning. But to bring out any of the items or any of the data or evidence for phase 2 or 3 at this point, completely premature, because we are still working the numbers. We are still working with the subject matter experts. And all of them, to a person, will be brought forward, just like everyone is asking us to do. The difference is you're asking us to do it now, and the cake is not ready yet. We're just not at that point yet. We're not asking you to vote on the City of Light Center. We're not asking you to vote on the North Island Center Plaza. Those are future phases that we are committed to doing.
Mr. Alexandru, then why did you include phase 1, 2, and 3 and talk about the various phases?
Well, Mr. Mayor, that's a great question. And, you know, I think I've learned a thing or two over the years doing this job. I think Chris Minnick has with all of his years of experience. And so we know how important transparency is to all of you when we're bringing significant plans forward. And the council, and you, Mr. Mayor, challenged us and asked us to come back with a comprehensive plan for ACA to not only get them to a level set for financial purposes, but to not have to keep coming back to the city. I think some of you actually said those exact words to me, that we can't keep doing this. Come up with a plan. So we've been working on this plan since 2023. Did we hit our April deadline? No, we did not. Not for lack of effort, but there was so much involved as this unfolded, we thought it was the right thing to do to give you the game plan. And that game plan is before you on this screen. But the first and only phase we're asking you to vote on is phase 1. And we will then turn our attention. We haven't stopped working on 2 or 3. We're constantly honing it. And I have noticed, and I applaud those members of the public who have done their homework and understand, are actually following this, and have seen, because of our transparency, the value of the folks that we have engaged. ACA has engaged, the Halliburton Root folks, the C.H. Johnson folks. But those are the subject matter experts that will be back here as part of phase 2, and we are giving them all of the concerns raised. We're looking at all the financials. And again, I understand over the years when a big shiny object is proposed, that gets all the attention. But our intention was not to distract you. We're not here to fool anybody. I have to say, It was surprising. There were several folks at the open house who took a different tact. And it's disappointing, and I've said to this council, as long as I've been in this job, since 2017, that there's a line that I will not allow to be crossed when it comes to our staff. So when our staff or our partners, like ACA, are called cons or showmen, or our treasurer and CFO are not allowed to finish a thought or get a word in edgewise, I appreciate civil discourse, right, and opposition, but some people have crossed lines. Some people have accused myself, Minnick, Rader, anybody who's part of this with some sort of disingenuous plan. Somehow we're profiting from this. Well, I was raised in a very hardworking Greek-American family that worked their tails off so that I can have a better life. I'm sorry, did you have something to say, Mr. Leish?
Continue, brother.
So when we're accused of wrongdoing, all I can say is look at the data and the evidence and what we have done. And we're requesting tonight, if you have questions, and some of you have requested information for 2 and 3, and we said we're happy to discuss phase 1. We have said repeatedly phase 2 and 3 are the next phases. We could have come to you and said no 3 phases. Let's do 24, 25 million or whatever the total ask is. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. So, Mayor, that's where we're at.
Any
and
question?
Chris and I
know we have Tim Rader from ACA present and also our CFO present if there's any questions. Questions from the Alderman Smith? Or questions or comments?
Question, do we have the assessed value of that garage?
We do. It's 9.8 million.
In there, yes.
Okay. My second question, Mr. Minick, I asked you this last week, and I just wanted to restate it. I asked you last week that bringing in this $13.8 million into the city of Aurora on our books for debt, you stated that it will not cause our residents any additional taxes. Can you explain how that can actually be?
That's correct. Well, there are actually a couple items that are working in concert that are going to allow us to avoid impacting the tax base. Number one, we see each and every year a level of inflationary growth, or what I call organic growth, in the revenue basis of the city. Sales taxes, property tax value, food and beverage taxes, hotel taxes, income taxes, all of them go up by a percentage, typically in an expanding economy as we've had over the last few years. And we anticipate that will continue into the period of time that's going to be covered by the bond. Secondly, Mr. Alexander mentioned that the parking garage currently has a lease and is leased out by the casino. There is approximately $170,000, give or take, in revenue that is generated by that parking garage annually. That will cease at some point as the casino moves and transitions to their new location. However, we've been putting together some models as to our level of revenue that we may see within that parking garage. And we would expect to at least replace that level of revenue and perhaps even to exceed it. I think that a likely range is somewhere in the realm between probably about $150,000 and probably $300,000, give or take. But lastly, and perhaps most significantly, at the end of 2024, when we make our bond payments, we're going to pay off 2 significant bonds that will be retired off the books. Our bond series, I believe it's 2012B and 2019A, will both be paid off at the end of the year, freeing up approximately $2.4 million in our debt service stream, which will more than cover the roughly $1 million of debt service that we anticipate as part of Phase 1.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
Alderman Seville.
Mr. Mayor, yes, thank you. I appreciate that the city is coming forward with this with ACA for breaking out, and I'm sorry, I was just going to say, turn on the mic, thanks, John. I appreciate the city and the ACA coming forward and really putting this in 3 separate phases for us to take a look at and digest, because it is a very ambitious plan that will change ACA and the downtown and the city of Aurora in such a manner that that's going to be positively impacted for years and years to come, if it works, and we plan accordingly to make it work. And so the forum that I think we had last week is a good step in the right direction to informing the public what's going on. I would urge more forums and the like to inform people and bring them a part of the system so they have opportunity for input and they know that somebody's listening. I think that's important. So I appreciate the Phase 1 tonight and what's being presented. I would just want to share with the council that some of the concerns that I've had already are really under 2 things. And they want to make sure there's adequate funding available. I know we talked a little bit about that at the last meeting. I just think something more specific, like user fees, need to be recognized and identified to help with funding. So it's just not getting us caught off guard, either as a city, an administration, or as the citizens in our city. And mostly concerns that I've heard is with regard to the future parking. I know when being on the council, when the city council first approved the casino, there was a concern with amount of people and traffic and the like. And we know that we were receiving at one point in time in the heyday of 1 million people a year was visiting the casino. Well, because we had planned accordingly, and the city has great infrastructure, that nobody saw the traffic. Nobody saw the people in a negative fashion. It didn't spill over the older neighborhoods. So that's what I'm hearing now, is make sure it doesn't spill over the older neighborhoods. For example, we just had Tusk over the weekend. That was 5,000 people attended. Nothing spilled over in the older neighborhoods. We had Fiestas Patrias, all on-site and nearby parking. Nothing negative in the neighborhoods. So my constituents, and I share this area with the 2nd Ward, the Historic District, Tanner Historic District, and the older neighborhoods, we want to make sure it doesn't negatively impact us as well. That adequate job of study be done, and so we can include that amount of people. Because if we're looking at 4,000 seat people, 200 venues a year, that's 800,000 people. It still doesn't get to the point of when we had at the casino. So I think if we plan accordingly, we can handle the negative aspects of it. So that's what I would ask staff and ACA to do, is to make sure you incorporate these thoughts and move forward in a specific and logical manner. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment.
I'm sorry, Alderman Barrow.
Sorry. I had come to this with an open mind. I've been, being new, it's kind of hard to have the pulse and also the background of what's been happening. What I've been thinking about is, wearing different hats here. One is being involved in the budget process previously. I had questions regarding, our long-term budget projections and forecasting and, modeling to, with those revenue growth that you're talking about compared to what our expected cost would be and how that picture looks. But I think answering, providing that information on retiring debt service is concrete. The other thing is, I've heard some comments from the public regarding keeping the taxes low, so that's paramount. So if we can do both, if we can use that retiring debt for this Phase 1, that does not result in a additional tax burden, which is a very important thing. in Ward 1. I'm sure in other wards as well. The other thing I heard is can ACA do some more belt tightening? Is that something that can we see something on that front? Because that seems to be a concern. I understand that we're trying to bring more people to downtown, and that's great. And I think that's it's good to see the downtown booming and all the people coming down here. But I think there's concerns over just trying to close that gap. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, which is helping me to decide, is the concern that I've heard about the loss of the casino and the tax base to District 131. So that was a big issue. People were concerned and they were upset that the District 131 was losing the casino and it was going to go to the Batavia School District. So with this parking deck, it seems like it's going to be something that would be of value to attract a new development on the site of the casino, and that is something that I'm interested, because that would benefit District 131 and could potentially result in even more taxes being generated for the school district. So that is for me something that is worthwhile and beneficial for the long term, because in District 131. We are in the inner part of the city. We're not on the outskirts. And the outskirts is where all the development happens, all the new development, the green fields and all those, the Route 59 and Orchard corridors. And you don't see a lot of that development in the central part of the city. And in this case, it's in District 131. So I would like to see that happen, where we have some new development in District 131 to help with the tax burden by having more development. So that is what is changing my mind on this phase one. The only thing I would say is that because of the short time frame, have not had a chance to talk to a lot of the residents and to hear what they have to say and what their concerns are. But like I said, primarily the cost is a concern, and is it going to affect my tax bill? And so, I would prefer to have a little more time, but I understand the time constraints. But those are my thoughts on it.
Alderman Lesh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try and be as brief as possible, but I want to try and get my points at least on the record, realizing that some of these will challenge the current narrative. Even going back to pre-COVID, looking at some of the older audits, ACA depended on subsidies. In fact, the most recent 2019 audit shows ACA getting $3.7 million in subsidies. And what I've seen happen over the years is that this number's grown because we've added another theater and adding more shows with the hopes of growing attendance in downtown. The question that I've been asking since this first came to the council in January of '24 is, how do we close the gap? I guess, I think that this question goes back even to December of '22 when the first $5 million check was cut to ACA, and then again in January of '24 when we gave them $4.5 million. But I guess what I was expecting to see in a gap closing measure is something more along the lines of doing an actual market study to see how more successful theaters are selling their subscriptions and tickets. We have the highest subscription rate because we have a buy two get two free subscription. I think that we need to task ACA with pricing their shows and see how that compares to other theaters. Number two, ACA needs to look at more corporate sponsorship opportunities. Number three, reducing shows to meet demand. So if we're not filling a theater, we need to look at ways to reduce the number of shows for that series, particularly the Bold series. Copley Theater alone has lost $1.5 million without operating grants, and both Copley Theater and School of the Arts are hemorrhaging money And I think we need to look at ways to either cut back on some of these programs or merge the School of the Arts with the Fox Valley Park District's theater courses and have some creative thought there. The only other final thought that I have is with respect to ROI, return on investment. I think that we need to take a look at the amount of food and beverage tax that's generated in the downtown restaurants or adjacent downtown restaurants, adjusted for inflation, and subtracting the amounts that are going to tax sharing agreements with some of the restaurants that have been getting subsidies. And then I guess my final thought on the $10 million parking garage is that, I think I made these points in the last meeting. We're not using this thing for 2 years. We're taking on something we don't need to take on to. We can leave it in ACA's hands. And I was expecting to see in our board pack the assessment, the $9.8 million assessment. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Alderman, Ms. Sagos?
Mayor, thank you. I also appreciate the time members of ACA, our staff that took to speak with me as well after I had a chance to talk to a lot of my neighbors also about this topic. I am a fan of Mr. Tim Rader, with his success at the Paramount Theater, and my record shows that I've also been a supporter with the efforts of ACA. I also believe we should consider supporting the items noted in Phase 1 for ACA's operations, but there's a concern with the building of this support with a financially unsubstantiated effort to build a CLC they only heard about approximately 10 days ago. Even though we are asked to look at Phase 1 today, it is part of a bigger financial 3-phase program, or a journey, as I've been told. One of our responsibilities as council members is to discuss policy and the financial effect of these policy decisions, including added debt load brought onto the budget, not just for today, but for tomorrow. When I came on as city council 12 years ago, a funding source for economic development also came from gaming taxes. Presently, I'm told that gaming taxes are increasingly being utilized for community groups, support, and quality of life grants. Hence, we now have to consider utilizing more government operation bonds to pay for unknown debt figure from the general fund dollars for this 3-phase proposal. A general fund that is primarily sourced from property tax dollars. As a native of Aurora and small business owner, I also want to see our city grow, develop, and thrive. But as I talk to my constituents over the past week, I keep hearing the same question again and again. How much will all 3 phases of this project cost, and where will the funding for the Phase 2 and 3 come from? I can support ACA with their additional request for funding through 2025, but not as part of a yet-to-be financially substantiated 3-phase journey. Mr. Alexander, we will agree, your comment, the cake is not ready yet, but I will be a no vote on this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Well, thank you for sharing today, and for everyone. I'm glad you led with that. We are voting on Phase 1 and Phase 1 only. And in my mind, Phase 1 can stand by itself. We're going to get additional numbers for Phase 2 and 3, but Phase 1 can stand on its own, and the merits are as laid out. I cheated, and I went on a field trip last week to Chicago Theater during the middle of the week very intentionally, just to see maybe what Phase 2 and Phase 3 would look like. I looked at the audience crowd at Chicago Theater. It's a little bit smaller than what we're looking at proposing during the middle of the week, and that's where we're going to have to make up our dollars. We know we can bring people in on the weekend. We show that every weekend. But can you bring in a large crowd on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? So the numbers have shown that people don't necessarily want to go to downtown Chicago anymore with the price of parking and congestion and all of those things. And all those things will play in our favor in the future when we attract people in. But I look forward to getting more concrete numbers on 2 and 3. Phase 1 to me is solid. I think it needs to go forward. It's necessary for the parking issues that we will have and that we're going to create. So I'll be voting yes on phase 1.
Any other comments? Well, I'll close this out before we take the vote. You know, oftentimes people look at individual issues in a little bitty pigeonhole and can't see the big picture. It's our job to paint the big picture for those willing to listen. There's always going to be the conspiracy theorists and the disgruntled and dissatisfied constituent that just isn't happy with anything. As a matter of fact, I've been mayor 7.5 years, and I've recognized that there is no way in the world you're going to make everybody happy. There just isn't. But the majority of the people will recognize what we're trying to do, what the city of Aurora is trying to do, what our partnership with ACA is trying to do for the city. This isn't the first time we've had people say, your ideas are terrible, it's going to hurt Aurora, it's going to harm Aurora, where's the money going to come from? It'll never work. They said that when we talked about rebuilding and refurbishing the terminal building that sat empty for 70 years. 70 years. No lights on in the upper floors of that building. 70 years. But look at it now. Full of market rate apartments, full to the brim with people standing in line waiting to get in there. They said the same thing about Hobbs. That sat empty for 50 years. Part of our skyline with the dome, dang near ready to fall over. They said that there's no way we should even think about redeveloping that. Just knock it down, let's make a park or something. But look at it now. Market rate, high-end Chicago-style apartments with people standing in line waiting to get in there. They said that about a 300,000 square foot albatross in the middle of a neighborhood called the Old Copley Hospital. Quarter of a century it sat, destroying a neighborhood with houses and a school right next door. There's no way you're ever going to be able to redevelop that. City, why are you even bothering? Knock it down. But look at it now. Housing for seniors, adults with disabilities, housing our school district 131. Medical services going to go in after 25 years in this year, go back into that community. They even got a bakery that's going to join the team in a month or so, and I'm sure we'll be cutting a ribbon. They said it'll never happen, but look at it now. Anyone that has been paying attention since Tim Rader joined ACA must recognize what the professionalism he has brought to that organization. The Paramount Theater, the Copley Theater, now the brand new Stope Island Theater that everybody is raving about, taking over our property, the River Edge Park, and running it to the point where we just had an event where it packed the house. People were waiting outside to get in. When people left and they were gone for the night, they let other people in, packed house. This is those guys running it, attracting 600,000 people a year right now, with a plan to make that 1 million in just a couple years, attracting to our downtown and to our city. Now, those folks that can't understand and recognize the big picture and just look at things through a little bitty pigeonhole and look at things individually can't see what ACA's doing for our community. And they'll say, oh, let's cut this program, let's cut that program, let's cut down the shows, let's stop with the new theater. We don't need a theater. Let's stop with the Copley. We don't need a Copley. Let's just do a few shows at the Paramount, maybe. Well, guess what? What do you think happens to all those 600,000 people that come to our downtown spending money along the way? They no longer come. By the end of this year, we'll have opened 5 brand new restaurants in this city, the first time ever in generations, in decades. Do you think they're coming just because of it? Do you think that just fell out of a tree? No, it's because our partnership with ACA and recognizing what they're doing for our city. And not just our downtown, it affects our whole city. Now, do they struggle over COVID? And do they struggle sometimes because, they don't after COVID, they didn't balance their budget because, all theaters around the country are struggling, and some are shutting down, and some are, not doing what they did before. Absolutely. But guess what? They got a partner in us that recognizes their value and recognizes what we need to do as a city to step it up to ensure their viability. People talk about the Renaissance in downtown. Look at all these people living down. Look at all these people walking their dogs and jogging in the morning. Why do you think this is happening? Just magically? No. Because of our partnership with people, we recognize exactly what they're doing for our city. So any money that we put up, it's an investment in ourselves, investment in Aurora. And shouldn't we invest in our community? Because guess what? There hasn't been any real investment for decades, for generations. And look what happened. You got cities like Springfield that have more development in their downtown than we do. Peoria, half our size, more development in their downtown. Rockford, but we're the second largest city. We have the opportunity to take Aurora to the next level and to be on par and truly consider ourselves the second largest city in the state of Illinois, not just because of population, because what we have to offer, not just to our own residents, but for residents all around. To be a leader in our community, in the whole of the Midwest. If we don't invest in ourselves, nobody will invest in us. And that showed year after year, decade after decade, generation after generation, where we weren't willing to invest in ourselves. But now we are. And we're doing it in a way to where we're still getting a return on our investment, where you've heard our CFO step up and say we've reduced our property tax rate by 20%, even though we're doing all this development that people say that will never be successful and we should never do. I know there's the issue about the parking garage, and let's wait for this and wait for that. Well, the forefathers said the same thing in Aurora. Let's wait, see what happens. Nothing happened. We all know, if we look at the numbers, I don't care what the naysayers and the conspiracy theorists say, we know that today the dollar of doing a development is a whole lot higher than the dollar doing development before. By purchasing this garage in phase 1, and that's all we're talking about is phase 1. We'll talk about phase 2 and 3 later, and that'll be great, and we'll have all the information. But in phase 1, we purchased this garage. Let's say we don't, and we have to build our own garage, because anybody paying attention recognizes that we're starting to have a parking problem in our downtown because of all these restaurants and all this excitement and all this interest and all this synergy and all these new people living downtown. We're having a parking problem. So if we've got to build our own parking garage, it's going to be double what we're investing in this one. Double that. And it won't happen tomorrow. We're going to plan for 2 years, and it's going to take another 2 years to build. What we have now is going to be an asset that we use, as Alexandra pointed out, so when we can attract new developers into our city, that we have a place for the people to park. They don't have to spend an extra $100 million building a new garage and ask the city for even more money than we have. We got an asset waiting right there, waiting and ready to pounce on. And we've done this before, and most of the aldermen haven't voted on it. When we've bought property on Bilter Road and bought property downtown to control our own destiny. And it's always turned out positive. Again, this is government. So we're going to have people always thinking they know better, even though they've never, ever been in the situation in this seat to make a determination of what better is. It's just noise. It's just opinions. We have shown, based on the success of this administration, what can be done. ACA has shown year after year, based on the success. And not just because they buy a subscription and get one free. We are the #1 because we are the best. I go to these Jeff award ceremonies that they have, giving all the theaters, all of them in Illinois, awards about the shows they put on. ACA is #1 every damn year because of the professionalism, because of what they have to offer. All the success you see in Aurora, it don't happen by accident. This isn't just falling out of a tree. This is because of the hard work that this administration and our partners are putting in to ensure our success. Let's continue with the success that we've established over the last 7.5 years. Let's continue to support our partner who makes sure that we are viable and we're successful. And when they have hard times, we don't walk away and look the other way and say, I'm sorry, you're on your own. We step up and we help them. Because helping them helps Aurora. If you truly care about Aurora, you stop that little bird's eye vision and looking at every little situation because it meets your agenda. You don't care about Aurora. You just care about your own agenda. If you care about Aurora, you look at the big picture and seeing everything we do is an investment, not just in what we're doing today, but our future generations, our kids and our kids' kids, which they never did before, but we're doing it now. So I'm going to ask these aldermen sitting around this dais to vote on behalf of this, because this is the right thing to do. Because this is our future. Because this is Aurora and what makes us successful. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
No.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
No.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Let's give back a round of applause. Thank you for what you do for the city, brother. Continue it on, and we got your back. All right, let's call that last item under unfinished business. And I know this is an item that Alderman Warman is going to recuse himself from, so I'll ask him to leave the council chambers as we entertain this, as is read by the clerk, and we entertain this item.
240658, a resolution accepting the improvements and waiving the maintenance security for Bardwell Community Subdivision 301 Weston Avenue.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco. Any question or discussion on this item? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug. Yes. Alderman Lash.
No.
9 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. All right, that concludes new business unfinished business going to new business. Is there a motion to suspend the rules to consider items that are new business? Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Lash. I'm sorry. Let's have Alderman Warman come back in. Sorry about that, brother. He wasn't walking fast enough. There's been a motion by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Lash. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll? And this is to suspend the rules to consider items that are new business.
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Read the item under new business.
240674, a resolution establishing the maximum number of licenses for tattoo and body art establishments in accordance with Chapter 25, Article 11, tattoo and body art establishments.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Garza. Any question, discussions regarding this?
Yes,
Alderman
Mr. Mayor.
Barrero.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a few comments. I was asked to attend a meeting with the Alderman staff and Mayor's office staff regarding the tattoo Paradise Tattoo Parlor on High Street. And so I was filled in on the issue, and I said I would be glad to meet with the owner, Brandon Rodriguez. Had the opportunity to go on site and visit the business, and it was very nice inside, and was really impressed with it. And his staff, very professional, and was very taken back by the looking to the future of building this business and providing a service for residents, and also I think it was very well done. I was very impressed with it, and so I said that I would have an open mind to it, but it wasn't what I would want to see, but it was what the residents would want. You know, so my take on it was that, as I explained to the residents at Pigeon Hill Neighbors Meeting, wanted to let them know that this was coming up, and I wanted to find out what they were thinking. And so I did tell them that I had a meeting, and you know, I understood what the concerns were, but I explained that, you know, this was an appointment-based business, and the number of people would be minimal, probably less than what the barber shop would do in terms of people walking in and parking and creating the parking concern. And so, you know, there's not a lot of people in the business, and sometimes, I don't know if you noticed, but when you see tattoo businesses, you don't even know that they're open sometimes, you know, but there's people in there. But so it's not something that generates a lot of foot traffic or, you know, parking needs, things like that. So the president of the Pigeon Hill Neighbors asked the residents what they thought, and asked if, you know, show of hands who supported it. And, you know, it was a very well-attended meeting. They had a great turnout, and everyone was in support of it, and nobody was against it. So then my next thing was to talk to the alderman who voted no on it. And so I started down the list. Alderman Garza shared with me that she had a friend and his sister that lived around the corner in Pierce, and they were originally against it and had changed their mind. They weren't supportive of it. And then I went down the list, and I had pretty wide support, and appreciate that. And so I know that a lot of times when you decide or are thinking about voting, you give a lot of weight to what the ward alderman is thinking. So I would appreciate your support of this. I think it'd be a great addition to the ward. I grew up on the east side and patronized a lot of businesses on High Street. There was always businesses there, you know, pharmacy, laundromats, pizza parlors. So this isn't anything new, but just kind of maintain that small business vibe on that section of High Street. So with that, I wanted to congratulate and say thanks to Brandon for his vision and also for taking a risk to invest, in Aurora and stay in Aurora, because I think that he's that talented. He could go elsewhere. So I think that would be a loss to us. So I'm very supportive of this, and I would like to see this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions? Alderman Seville.
Mr. Mayor, yes, thank you. I appreciate the first ward Alderman Barrero going out and meeting with his constituents at a neighborhood meeting and gathering information and asking their opinion. And based upon that and alleviating any concerns that he might have had and talking with his constituents, I think it was a well worthwhile exercise, and I'm prepared to change my vote from how I voted just several weeks ago because of that, because I think that's new information that it was important for us to share, to be able to consider the vote this evening. So appreciate that, and I'll be voting yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. I appreciate Alderman Barrero for saying a few things about this resolution. Just like Alderman Seville, we typically support the sentiment of the first ward alderman or the ward alderman that comes with some data to us, but it seems like you brought even more data than we had the first time. So appreciate that. You bring your testimony here today and the outreach you did in your community. And just like Alderman Seville, I'll probably be moving my vote over to a yes vote on this one as well.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Smith.
Yes, so I've always thought that this was a nice business. The reason why I voted against this the first time was because I was supporting the ward alderman who had said that he had been to his neighborhood meetings and the neighborhood was against this particular business. So I think it's nice that now that Alderman Barrero went back to the same meeting and talked to the same people, that now decided that it was okay. So I want to be really careful and very respectful for other people that have sat in these seats that did their due diligence when they were aldermen, and were doing their due diligence based on their residents, their constituents. Fortunately, these constituents, after further conversation, agreed that this would be a good idea, or they healed to it, they thought it was fine. So I too will be supporting this, but I'm certainly not throwing the past alderman under the bus with this. I think the past alderman did what he needed to do for his residents at the time, and I appreciate the fact that we're able to bring this back up and get this young man's business going.
Any other question or comments? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Resolution is approved. Brandon, stand up and be recognized, brother. Congratulations, my man. You have a business here in the city and look forward to you being successful, my man. All right, that concludes the new business. Let's go on to reports. Do we have our CFO still present with us? Corporate funds investment report, second quarter. I acknowledge receipt of second quarter 2024 corporate funds investment report. Are there any questions or discussions on this? Tell you what, why don't you give a quick statement on that one?
Yeah, on this one, every quarter we present a listing and a summarization of all the investment activity that happened during the quarter, as well as the investments held at the end of the quarter. This is actually the report for the second quarter of 2024. It reflects approximately $382 million in corporate investments. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? There being none, there's no action needed on this item. Let's go on to 24-0686 Treasurer's Report. I acknowledge receipt of the May 2024 Treasury Report. Mr. CFO, Mr. Minnick.
Thank you. We'll concentrate on the June Treasurer's Report since it's the most recent. We're now halfway through the fiscal year, and during June, each year, we typically receive our first significant property tax distribution, and this year was no exception. We did receive about half of the property tax disbursement in the month of June, and we expect the second half in the September-October timeframe. And our trends for financial performance are actually positive at June 30th. We have about $105.5 million in revenues, $105 million in expenditures, resulting in roughly a $500,000 surplus in the general fund at June 30th. Our revenues to date are approximately 45% of the budget, but it does not include any of the accrual activity that happened during the first months of the year. We have to book that activity back into, in this case, 2023. So when you factor that in, there's actually a couple months worth of revenue that need to be added. So when you add all that in, we're essentially in line with our budget. We have seen positive performance to date from our income tax, licenses and permit revenue, food and beverage tax as well, and additionally interest income with the continuing elevated interest rates. Our investment income from the $382 million we just talked about a moment ago has really exceeded our expectations this year. Our expenditures are essentially at 45% of budget, currently trending slightly below budgeted amounts for the year. There's not really anything else remarkable in the Treasurer's Report. Be happy to answer any questions.
No questions there. No action needed on this one. Let's go to 24-0687 Treasurer's Report. I'm sorry, did you already give that one, brother?
Yeah,
No.
we just did June. So.
Okay, all right, June. All right, so that concludes our reports.
Yes.
All right, let's go on. Thank you, kind sir. No action needed. Let's go on to the bills. There, motion to approve and pay the bills. Let's on the agenda. There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Are there any questions or discussions on the bills? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Barrero.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Bills are approved. There is no need for closed session. Is there a motion to adjourn this
Second.
meeting? Given the fact there's no more business coming forward. Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.